What's going on, Jesse?
The thoughts, opinions, and general overall shade thrown on High at 9 News are those of the individual speakers and not those of High at 9 News, its audience, or its advertisers. The statements made do not constitute medical, legal, or financial advice, and for advice tailored to your specific situation, please consult with a licensed professional. Welcome to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebrities and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your hosts, Jason Beck and Rico Lamitte, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country, and daily antics brought to you by Cannabis. Coming to you live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time and high noon on the East Coast. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us. Oh, yeah. Good morning, everybody. It is Wednesday. Jesse, you got to stop coughing. It's Wednesday, August 23rd. And today, that's right, it's Black Ribbon Day. It's also National Sponge Cake Day, National Cuban Sandwich Day, National Ride the Wind Day. That sounds fun, riding the wind in a PJ maybe. And as well as International Day for the Remembrance of the Slave Trade and its Abolition. Thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us. It's also high noon on the East Coast. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe to us on all social media platforms. Use that fancy little QR code right there at the top-hand corner of your screen to see where we live at the internet. And we're live every Monday through Friday on YouTube. And eventually we'll be audio only on Twitter Spaces. But today is not that day. But nonetheless, we're going to kick it off with the dope dad himself. Oh, where did Rico is not there? He has disappeared. Oh, man, where is going on, Rico? Gretchen, you want to kick it off or you want me to start it off? Gretchen, it's your choice. We want to do ladies first or you want me to go first? You're on mute.
Yeah, I'm here. Let's do this. What the F?
You want to go first, Gretchen?
Dude, I'm always ready.
Oh, man. Well, Gretchen's going to introduce herself today because she doesn't want me to introduce herself, but she does love to dress her dogs in obnoxious clothing, and she is the founder of Panoptic Strategies. But what do you have to say, Gretchen?
Well, I am the founder of Panoptic Strategies. I am an accomplished journalist, a beautiful woman, and an excellent baker.
Oh,
Suck it, Jason Beck.
Baker.
I made a blackberry cobbler last night. Wasn't too bad.
You made a blackberry cobbler, huh?
Yeah.
Carry popsicle sticks with you, Gretchen?
Do I carry popsicle stick?
Yeah.
Just inquiring.
It's Dale's
and you let
safe
her
word.
know what it means later, okay?
It's Dale's
Y'all
safe
can
word.
explain this to me from the dirty old uncle in the Barca Lounger.
It's Dale's safe word.
I don't want to know. I'm glad y'all are enjoying yourselves. Anyway,
we're always enjoying ourselves, Gretchen.
I felt this story was appropriate because we're always saying to regulate cannabis like alcohol. Top Alcohol Industry Association gives Congress advice on regulating hemp derivatives such as CBD and Delta-8 THC. As Congress considers creating a framework to oversee the nation's cannabis market, a major alcohol association is offering federal lawmakers advice on regulating hemp-derived cannabinoids, including CBD and Delta-8 THC. Wine and Spirits Wholesalers of America, which came out in support of federally legalizing marijuana earlier this year, sent a letter to House and Senate committees on Friday in response to the panel's recent request for information on navigating CBD and other emerging cannabinoids. The transition from prohibition to legal status for alcohol has been an American success story. Since the 21st Amendment's enactment, a safe, consumer-centric, and economically vibrant marketplace has developed, one serving the needs of both regulators and consumers. While individual regulations have evolved, the basic federal regulatory structure of permitting and tax collection continues to endure. As Congress considers a potential regulatory pathway for intoxicating hemp products, America's wine and spirits wholesalers believe it is important to share what our industry has learned over time and encourage you and other legislators to pursue robust reform and regulation. One of the main reasons Congress is exploring regulatory models for CBD is because the FDA said earlier this year that following an extensive review, it believes it currently lacks the necessary authority to enact a framework on its own. No shit, Sherlock. The House Energy and Commerce Committee and Senate Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee announced last month that it would be accepting expert input on the issue through the end of last week. In addition to WSWA, state marijuana regulators, hemp industry groups, and other stakeholders sent letters that included detailed responses to dozens of specific questions from the panels. WSWA argued in its comments that lawmakers should create a distinct regulatory category for intoxicating cannabinoids like Delta-8 THC, with the Alcohol and Tobacco Trade Bureau responsible for those products. The association previously recommended having TTB oversee the marijuana industry if cannabis is federally legalized. WSWA has had experience in the decades since the passage of the 21st Amendment to the Constitution, safely serving the market for an intoxicating product, the letter to lawmakers says. While we are not experts in a number of the areas in which you request information, for example, safety and toxicity data for CBD and other hemp-derived cannabinoids, we believe that we can assist the committees by answering a number of questions in which our members do have experience. The group, which previously endorsed the Senate bill to allow CBD to be used in consumable products such as food, drinks, and dietary supplements, addressed several key questions related to issues such as creating national standards for CBD products, regulating lesser-known intoxicating cannabinoids, ensuring that states are seen as regulatory partners, promoting consumer protections, and more. The comments also come months after top executives at WSWA spoke at their annual conference explaining the reasons they voiced support for marijuana legalization and encouraging from other alcohol industry stakeholders to join them in advocating for reform. WSWA came out in support of states' rights to legalize cannabis in 2018 and followed up with a briefing on Capitol Hill to inform lawmakers and congressional staffers about its positions later that year. Some advocates see the Alcohol Association's engagement on the issue as a boon to reform efforts, especially given its widespread network of members and connections to Congress. Others have been skeptical about the industry and warned against modeling marijuana after alcohol, arguing that such an approach could disrupt existing state markets and threaten small businesses if the comparatively larger companies are given too much influence over legalization legislation. I wonder, based on this article, if anyone is interested in the wine and wholesale spirits folks actually giving out advice on cannabis. And do you think their advice is merited given their experience in alcohol? This is Gretchen for Hyatt 9 News.
Yeah, I mean, what realistic things in common does alcohol have in regards with cannabis, Gretchen, would you say?
That it is a substance that alters people's states, I would
you
say.
could say that.
It's also a very, hold on, Jason Beck. I would also say it's an industry that's regulated differently in various states, just like cannabis currently is. Everyone's been saying for the longest time, regulate cannabis like alcohol.
That's just people that don't know any better saying that.
Well, that's what I'm asking, Jason Beck. Please explain why.
That's all
please
people,
tell me. I would love to learn
don't.
from Jason Beck. Can you please
that's a soundbite
inform
right
me?
There. Yes.
I knew you would love that one.
Yes, that's amazing, Gretchen.
Let me get my boots on here.
Yeah.
Jason,
yes.
Please tell us why.
I just don't think that there's much in common in regards with the liquor industry, in regards with the cannabis industry. I mean, aside from like the kind of some of the obvious things that you stated, consumer packaged goods, regulatory framework different in different states and whatnot. But when it comes down to regulating compounds and how these compounds affect people, I don't think that they have any business telling any regulator about anything unless they're trying to draw some type of comparison between the two.
I think that the alcohol industry and the cannabis industry kind of took a similar tack throughout history. So I think that's where some of the alcohol companies that have been around for a long time can like speak to, something coming out of prohibition into a regulated market where there's a strong demand for it. the infrastructure of distribution and things like that. Just those type of things. As far as substance to substance is definitely apples and oranges. That's,
Yeah.
you know, anybody who has drank alcohol and smoked cannabis will tell you that. But I think the track that they took throughout history and coming to market and to point right now, I mean, I'll listen to anybody that has some insight that could possibly improve my business or my industry. As far as the alcohol,
Well, I do think they have some expertise on the quality standards.
On quality? Are you serious? On quality standards?
Yes, I'm just saying, Jason. I know you're not a fan of history or facts.
Crazy.
But if you go back prior to Prohibition, I mean, people were making moonshine. They're still making moonshine, but all sorts of different things were in all of these crazy products. One of my clients that I work with is U.S. Pharmacopoeia. Their job is coming up with standards for medicines, for food products, so everyone makes sure that they're getting the same thing and knowing exactly what's in it. And if you have state models like cannabis or alcohol, you have to have unique standards across the entire country that makes sense and that meet those standards. So people are getting consumer safe products. Now, if you want to look at cannabis like medicine, as many do, then you're going to have to rely a lot more heavily on the FDA, which people don't want to do. Then you're going to have to rely a lot more on pharmaceutical companies to be setting these standards,
Not
which
if you
I
just
know
treat it like
you
a
don't
nutraceutical.
want to do. But if you want to regulate like alcohol, which is used recreationally,
yeah, those people
then you
don't know
might
what
look
they're
to these
talking about.
folks for their expertise. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, those people.
Yeah,
People that
there's
say regulate like
absolutely
alcohol.
room and necessity for experts from all of these fields to have some sort of input, to sit back and act like we know the answers to everything just because we're the people bringing the weed to the table is ignorant. It's foolish. There's something to learn from everyone.
You're right, Manndie. And I just want to point out one more thing, Jason, before you get on your high horse again. All they're commenting on here is CBD and Delta 8. That's all these guys are talking about. And I think as products that are really going unregulated totally, like Delta 8, I think they might have something to say. That's all I'm saying.
Well, if they're over there on Capitol Hill saying, hey, you know what, Delta 8 and CBD need to be regulated, there need to be some type of testing standards in place, so then that way we don't have all of these unregulated products floating around in every head shop and gas station across America. Now, that's something I can get behind, and that's something that makes sense, right? As well as I do agree that you can learn a few things, you know, like from the distribution standpoint and whatnot. You can learn a lot from alcohol. I totally agree with that. But when it comes to regulating the actual cannabis substance, they have no clue about it, and they should stay out of that conversation.
Well, and if you were listening to what I said, that is one section they did not weigh in on.
I always
the
listen to what you
toxicity
say.
and you don't listen to a damn word I say.
Always.
And see, even Salem is barking in agreement. You don't listen to a
Salem
word
is
I
not.
say.
Salem's telling you you're wrong, Gretchen.
Salem
Salem's
is
actually
saying,
sticking up
Jason,
for
shut
me.
the fuck up. Good girl, Salem.
Salem loves me. Can't believe you. Can't believe you.
Well, there is an established regulatory system in the tax people right now. The Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms Group controls tobacco and alcohol, and those two aren't the same in any meaningful way either, except that they're used by adults, that they're intoxicants. I mean, nicotine's not as much, and they're also habit forming. So there's a lot of other similarities. And you're not going to get Congress to come up with some brand new regulatory agency over a substance they haven't had any knowledge about since 1937. So I think it's the most logical place to convince a legislator we should put it into ATF and then figure out how do we regulate this? How do we get the quality standards up? We keep crap out of it that's poisonous, make sure it crosses state lines, it's accounted for, and then let the states regulate it as they want. That model's up and it's ready to run. We don't have any information about cannabis because the DEA won't let it happen officially. We all know what it does, but we've got to get these officially done so you know where the safety standards have to be drawn.
I'm with you, Dale. Add a C to that ATF acronym and also a C onto TTB, and I think we'll be in a good position.
Don't reinvent the wheel.
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly.
Move along.
Oh, that's it. That's all you got for us, Gretchen, today? That's
Dude,
it?
I am being mindful of my other correspondence time. We're already
you're
16
so-
minutes in, and I know Rico's going to go long,
You're
so
s-
let's get this moving.
Oh,
He's going
shit.
for a touchdown pass. That's how he's going long.
Oh, shit. Oh,
And then
shit.
someone explain this popsicle thing to me in the back channel, please.
Yeah. You know what? I think we should let Chemo explain the popsicle thing for you in the back
Oh,
channel.
I don't know if I want to
Gretchen.
know.
Yeah.
This is going to be like when I learned about what a pearl necklace was. Good
Exactly.
Lord.
Oh, yeah. They love those pearl necklaces, don't they, Gretchen? Oh, yeah.
I was a young, naive field producer when I learned what that was from a dirty old man cameraman. But anyway,
you were
continue.
out in the field, huh? In the thistles.
Can we get to Rico? Rico Lamitte. Dopest dad on the street. Take it away.
Rico, you're on mute or something. We can't hear you. I see your lips moving, but we can't hear you. But we see you. We see you.
I can hear your applause.
Go ahead and talk. No, something's up with your mic or something, bro. Something's up with your audio feed. We got nothing coming from you. You're on the NC list too. Maybe Hunter Biden got
Well, now.
There we go. Yes, there we go. Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
The fuck?
I don't know, bro. It's your technology shit. You're supposed to be a master at this shit. I don't know. And now we
And
can't
you're
hear you.
muted again.
And you're muted again.
Ain't changed no sentence since yesterday.
I'm enjoying the delicate placement of the F-bombs
mean,
this morning, though.
Discord.
Nicely done.
FCC, we are saying buck. We are
Yes,
saying
that's
buck.
right.
It's like you're there, but your mic isn't on.
Yeah,
and we
your
can
mic's
just
not on,
barely
or
hear
something.
you.
There's something going on in your place, bro. I think Hunter Biden left a bug over there or something.
I think while Rico Lamitte figures it out, we go to the highest Republican out there who
Check,
doesn't know
check.
jack.
Yo,
Right,
Yo,
let's try
Yo.
again.
Rico. Yeah, go ahead.
nothing.
Go for it. We hear you now.
Oh, you can hear me?
Yeah.
Y'all can hear me?
Yes.
Just do your story before it messes up again.
Exactly.
Let me know. All right, so
And he's
thank
gone.
you. Fucking Discord pissing me off. I'm gone? How am I gone?
Oh.
Y'all can't hear me?
Hear you, we hear you.
Yeah, we hear you, Rico. Are you going to do your story or not?
Oh, you said, are you gone? He's gone again.
No,
All right, so
no. We
anyways.
said you're going again.
One.
today I'm going down to Alabama.
Yeah.
Hey, what? Alabama?
Keep speaking.
I thought y'all said y'all can't hear me.
Keep
Goddamn.
talking. Keep
All right.
Oh my
talking.
God.
When it comes to chaotic nature of trying to, what the fuck?
All right, never mind,
Rico
Rico.
Lamitte.
Never mind,
The
Rico.
hell
I'm
with
going.
you.
I'm going to my story. Never mind your shit. You keep stopping. I
fuck?
don't know why. Have no clue why.
Still,
No clue why you keep stopping. But nonetheless,
I've done nothing different.
Obviously, you.
I've done nothing different.
Obviously, something's going on, but we don't got time for all that. I'm going into my story now. So now,
Ain't nobody got time for that.
all right, you
Did
guys.
he get a hold of some of Jason Beck's weed?
I don't know. He did. He got hold of something, bro. He got hold of something. That's for sure. But text message provider Twillo
Just go ahead,
cut
Jason.
service to the cannabis industry. That's right. Twillo, one of the nation's largest communication services, providers for retailers, is prohibiting cannabis companies from using its software to reach customers. The publicly traded San Francisco company provided a communications platform and software that helps companies talk to their customers via text, voice, and video. A company spokesperson told MJ Biz Daily that the sale or promotion of cannabis via Twillo's platform violates, in quotes, long-standing policies put in place to comply with federal law, they say. However, according to the company's list of restricted use cases, marijuana, CBD, and accessory products companies are prohibited from utilizing its SMS or MMS text messaging in the United States or Canada, regardless of the federal or state legality. Other banned categories include high-risk financial services such as cryptocurrencies, debt collection or forgiveness, gambling, sex, firearms, and tobacco. In a quote, if we discover a customer is violating the law or another provision of our policies, we take the action necessary to stop the activity up to and including account suspension, spokesperson Caitlin Epstein said via email. I wonder who she's also related to. But nonetheless, in another quote, she says, "This approach applies not only to cannabis, but to any other violations of federal law." Twillo did not disclose when the policy took effect or its previous business dealings with marijuana operators, though it indicated more than a year it was joining the likes of T-Mobile and AT&T in banning such services, according to the Washington, D.C.-based National Cannabis Industry Association, better known as NCIA. In a blog post last year, the NCIA described Twillo as a huge SMS platform used by some major players in the industry for such services as delivery, marketing, and loyalty points. Twillo's position highlights another roadblock for cannabis companies, particularly retailers, in their efforts to partner with industry leaders because of the federal prohibition of marijuana possession and sales. In July, MasterCard issued a hardline demand that banks and payment processors immediately halt marijuana transactions involving its debit card, fueling a scramble for retailers to find payment processors and other solutions for handling more cash in store. And in the wake of the MasterCard decision, retailers told MJ Biz Daily they were improving the store communication with customers and on the overall shopping experience, as well as reassessing internal processes. Many are concerned that global financial giant Visa will follow suit, further strengthening competition from the illicit market while putting their increasingly cash-heavy operations even more at risk for crime rings targeting cannabis retail locations. Burglaries involving cannabis stores last year doubled from 2021 in California, the world's largest marijuana marketplace, and given Twillo's size and market position, the company might have found it easier to cut ties with the industry rather than risk regulatory scrutiny. The company topped $1 billion in sales in the June quarter and has a market cap of nearly $11 billion with a B dollars. Well, Twillo. Twillo's cutting ties. It sounds like Twillo's going to go back out into the fields and not mess with the weeds anymore. But nonetheless, this is Jason Beck for the High at 9 News Hour. What do y'all think about this?
I found myself getting progressively more upset as you were reading this article. The first thing that comes to mind every time I see a company that marketed very heavily to our industry and really came out strong, presenting how much they were going to be an ally to us, suddenly rescinding everything that they've said is gut-wrenching, and it impacts a lot of people. A lot of companies have put a lot of faith in the business that they selected, and this is disgusting.
So are we going to call them Trillo now?
I hope that when the laws do change, that no one does business with them when they try to come back.
I do think cannabis people are very vindictive of that in that way, and that if they were using a provider before,
you can't come in and market yourself like that and then abandon an entire industry in that manner.
Yep.
You can't do that.
I did
Do we
that.
have any idea how many of their customers were cannabis customers? Was it sizable? I've never heard of these guys.
Definitely was sizable. Yes. Definitely sizable.
They spent a lot of money marketing to our industry the last few years. A lot.
Well, what do we think has spurred this? Do you think it's the MasterCard decision?
I'm not sure if it's the MasterCard decision. I think that I think they probably just got some letter or some opinion from some compliance specialist saying, hey, you're in violation of this, and this, and you really shouldn't be doing this. And now all of a sudden the company has a new way of operating.
A lot of these marketing text message platform companies get banned from certain cell phone platforms if they find out that you're sending text messages from a cannabis company. License doesn't matter. I'm sure that.
Can y'all hear me now?
Yeah, we hear you. We hear you better than ever, Rico. Yeah, thumbs up.
God damn. All right.
Well,
Jesus.
Mandy was in the
This is
middle
crazy that
speaking. Hold
Twilio-
your horses there,
It's
Chief.
good. I'm good. It's good. Go ahead.
He's back, y'all.
Yeah, go ahead. You wanted to interrupt the
Sorry.
women. Go ahead, Rico.
Yeah, I was saying it's crazy about Twilio. We actually went public on Twilio back when I was with Baker back in 2017. That was the platform that we built everything on at Baker, and to see them like pulling out the game like that, it's nuts. But I do understand because people are using text marketing wrong, and they're going against TCPA compliance and protocols. The reason why we have to, I mean, at Happy Company I work for, that are in the game right now. And the problem is they're trying to push a SMS business in the cannabis industry, and you're towing that line. It's a gray space. So these companies that are backed by billions of dollars, are backed by hundreds of millions of dollars, they're just not gonna fuck with it. Keep on getting those compliance issues, keep on getting dinged. It looks bad on your reputation. It looks bad for your shareholders. So federal legalization will make it easy for companies to work with companies like this, but just is what it is.
Well, all right, Rico.
Still
Question:
crazy,
if you've worked with these people before,
biggest
why
providers.
not
Yeah.
just shut down the companies that are violating the rules instead of walking away from the whole industry?
It's probably because everyone's doing
I
the
don't
same
know.
thing. Probably because everyone's doing the same thing and they're doing it all wrong.
Everybody's wrong.
Everyone's doing it wrong. Yep.
Well, they could have got threatened by a bigger entity too. That if they don't pull out of that if they don't pull out of cannabis, then they will not work with them for whatever reason.
So you think Facebook reached out?
Could
to
be
them?
like one of the major mainstream loyalty programs. Could have been anything.
So you think it was Facebook, huh?
Everything is Facebook, bro.
Everything.
Fucking Mark Zuckerberg.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because stories
The
like
game's all
this
fucked.
always
for it,
make me think of like when federal legalization actually does happen, how much money is going, how many billions of dollars are going to be poured into this industry. The ceiling
much.
is like crazy. And just, the Facebook, like you just said, Jason, like the Facebooks, the Metas, the Googles, these huge conglomerate, these companies that got more money than countries are going to be pouring money into cannabis. And I mean, hopefully I'm there with my cup.
Yeah, right. Let our cuppeth overfloweth. Yes.
May it runneth over.
Yes, all of that good shit. All of that good shit. And on that message, we're going to go to a commercial.
You gonna go
We're
quick?
gonna be right
You
back.
gonna go quick through my shit?
No, we're going to go to a commercial.
I can be
We're
real
gonna
quick
we're
after
gonna-
the commercial.
We're going to be right
Hold
back.
your horses, Chief.
All right.
How's it going, guys? Saman Razani coming to you from Green Street here with Jason Beck, smoking on the best weed in the world. Did you know that we have an audio-only version of our podcast available on Apple, Google, Amazon, iHeartRadio, and Spotify? Tune in now and check it out.
I don't need this kind of vibe. Simmer down.
Yep. Well, coming up next, it's Rico.
Do I scare you?
Coming up.
Yes.
It's Rico. He has been letting too many Democrats use his computer because obviously you can tell this whole thing is bugged. That's right. Is none other than the dope dad himself, Rico Lamitte.
I ain't gonna touch the fucking button. But yeah, you're right, man. They probably swapped my computer out with Hunter Biden's, and I got all kinds of shit on it now.
Mm-hmm.
It's all your fault. It's all Mark Zuckerberg's fault. And I'm coming in hot. But either way, I'm switching gears a little bit this morning, talk a little bit about the drama bubbling down in Alabama. When it comes to the chaotic nature of trying to figure out this whole cannabis legalization thing out, nobody's really immune. No state, no region, nobody. And I tend to cover a lot of New York stories because it's the last major American market that we're seeing trying to find its own feet. California, obviously, because we live here and I can speak on the headlines from a firsthand local experience point of view. And if I don't have that, I'll get somebody that I know that's local. All the other states, usually the bigger topics get our attention, but not much from the South. True Southern states showed up to the party a little late, but just because you're late to the party do not mean that you can't catch a vibe. And I think Alabama's finding out the hard way this week that the vibes are not always good. And for the third time in 2 months, Alabama's restarting the distribution of its medical cannabis licensing. The news comes by way of a court filing Monday submitted by the Alabama Medical Cannabis Commission. The filing revealed the AMCC's plans to void the same licenses it just awarded 2 weeks ago are going to be rewarded. Yeah, the same licenses without entering into executive session. And why might they need to do that? Because AMC lawyers say that the actions necessary to satisfy complaints in a lawsuit filed by Alabama Always and Hornet Medicinals, claiming the commissions violated Alabama's Open Meetings Act by holding deliberations and a vote in an executive session at its August 10th meeting. Several applicants who did not receive licenses filed lawsuits against AMCC, seeking to block the license awarding process altogether, since they contend said meeting was held illegally. But wait, there's more. Even Alabama may not seem like a major cannabis industry contender in the grand scheme of things, just like the University of Alabama football team, every damn near, it does have a few marquee players on the field. One of them being Chicago-based MSO, Verano Holdings. Verano has they first secured one of the 5 highly coveted Alabama integrated facility licenses that allow businesses to operate a cultivation and processing facility in addition to 5 retail dispensaries back in June. The victory ended quickly. It was earned by the commission's first attempt, but a call for more transparency in the licensing process led to the AMCC and their initial revision at the beginning of August. When Alabama's second round of license allocations finalized, Verano lost its chance to get in the game. The AMCC chose INSA Alabama LLC instead. So y'all know what happened next? Got a lawsuit. Filed in Montgomery County Circuit Court, Verano's lawsuit stipulates the commission's ability to revoke licenses contradicts and surpasses the authority granted to it by the Alabama legislature, and is clearly erroneous. As such, Verano, Alabama asserts its original awarded licenses shall remain valid. Take that, Sarah Huckabee Sanders. Montgomery Circuit Judge James Anderson initiated a temporary restraining order to halt the ongoing process undertaken by the AMCC. Alabama Always LLC sought the TRO back to block more licenses from being issued while it was suing the AMCC for incompetent licensing processes. Alabama Always already accused the AMCC back in July of improperly deleting meeting recordings, which it considers to be key evidence in this case. It's a whole lot of action in just 2 months down in sleepy Alabama. Now, obviously, the South and Southeast regions have been a bit slower to shift their collective ideologies about cannabis policy than the rest of us have. But they are, as Jason says, evolving. And of course, evolution breeds chaos. So welcome to the chaos, Alabamians. May it be more of a ladder than a pit. Roll Tide. I'm Rico Lamitte, dopest dad on the street, and glad to have some audio now.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, welcome back. We're so glad that you could actually join us today, Rico.
Hey, man. I'm just trying to go, you know what I'm saying? Like, what do you think about this Alabama story, man? You think about it?
I mean,
This happens every place they try to give out
Dale?
licenses.
exactly,
Yeah.
right, Dale?
Yeah, every place, and especially if you have like lotteries or you limit the number you can get. Whoever, if you got 10 licenses available, number 11 through 20, sue your ass for not giving it to them. And then you take a look at how they award them. Is it arbitrary and capricious? It's a great place for lawyers to make a lot of money. Just twist these industry businesses up into a knot. Because, man, how do you get a license? Why would they limit this? Why not just let this be like any other business? You want to start a business and you can't run it, you fail, you fall on your face. Everybody else who can, let them have a license. No, we're not going to get that. We're going to get this. Let's control it by giving out a certain number of licenses and who qualifies. And then you sue each other or you sue the state and they have a pissing match and they meet behind closed doors. They're not supposed to. They lie. You know, it's this book's been read many times.
Does Verano have a case here? The state issued licenses and then they retracted the licenses and deemed them invalid. Verano says that their license is valid and it was never invalidated because of all this other bullshit.
I think Verano has a
Well,
case.
of course, they have a colorable claim here because once they award this, you get some sort of a standing or property right to go into court to protect it. And every state has its rules about open meetings and how you can make decisions, who has the authority to make decisions. So if you get awarded a license and all of a sudden they tell you, oh, so sorry, we fucked up, you don't have a license now, I'd be in court too, asking to keep that. But why they did that, how they did that, it varies every place. But the scandalous shit that we see going on inside these governments, none of it surprises me anymore.
I'm with you on that, Dale. Nothing surprises me.
I'm kind of surprised that they only have 5 of these integrated licenses. I guess it's like a full vertical license comparable to what we have out here. They only have 5 of those, and I'm surprised that they went away from the MSO to grant it to somebody smaller.
Well,
I thought they would have gone the Florida route and just gave it to all MSOs.
I think they wanted to give it to their alumni out there in Alabama. I mean, that's how Alabama's always worked. You know what I mean? Roll Tide. They're all about their alumni out there. And so, I mean, what was that one movie?
True.
What was that one movie? The football player he got adopted.
Forrest Gump?
No. The football player, he got adopted.
You're talking about The Blind Side?
Yes, The Blind Side. Yes,
Michael
thank
Orr.
you. Yep.
He didn't play
He
at
never got
Alabama,
adopted.
#1.
He was never adopted.
Whatever, Rico. Whatever.
He played
That
at
was
Ole Miss.
Mississippi, but
It's all
he
the
was
same
never.
region, bro. It's the same.
Yeah, he was never adopted.
He has a conservatorship.
I
No,
What the hell does that have
it's
to
playing
do
out
with-
in court right now too.
I'm just saying.
Okay, well, what the hell does that have to do with anything?
I'm just saying.
I guess the South is all. I guess the South is all the same, right, Jason?
That's what I'm
Is
saying.
that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying. Yep. Exactly right. The South is all the same.
Full disclosure before I start is Verano did some advocacy for me when I was incarcerated. So just wanted to throw that out there before I say secret meetings in Alabama creep me out. I don't know why, like when you said secret meeting Alabama, I just felt weird about that. Like it just seems like there's nothing good in a secret meeting in Alabama that goes on. The South is like, we've said this like many times on the show. Listen, if you haven't been in the South, like you don't really understand how far behind on cannabis they are and what their stance is towards it. Like cannabis in the South is like crack cocaine. It's like fentanyl.
It's actually
you know,
worse. It's actually worse.
yeah, it's like it's the devil's lettuce. It's the gateway into like the worst life you will ever lead. It's getting better. I will say that it's getting better. You're starting to see some of these medical programs like Alabama's pop off over there. Mississippi's, Louisiana has it. A lot of the states where you didn't really think, they would come around. But listen, like you said, I would be really surprised if these licenses go to some Chicago Verano company or any of the New England, California companies, any of those. They are really, really strong in nepotism down there and like upping their family, upping the community, upping the people that are around them. So if you saw some northern company come into the South and dominate the market, I would be surprised. Now, Florida is a little bit different because it's like Florida is the South, but it's still like Florida's its own beast, right? It does its own thing over there. But the deep, dirty South,
New Yorkers and Cubans in Florida.
Florida is another country.
Yeah.
Florida is one of the greatest states
Cut
in
it off.
America.
Says the guy who loves Mar-a-Lago.
Right. Yes, Mar-a-Lago's a great place. Great place. Same. But
Let's keep this party going.
yeah, we got to keep it rolling.
We got my rocks off.
Yeah, we got to go to a commercial. We're gonna be right back.
The Control Tower from Highly Educated has perfected the dab. Utilizing the concept of thin film evaporation, you can waste none of it and taste all of it. The micro texture of the SE pillar increases nucleation at elevated temperatures. And with the tower propelling at 2,600 RPMs, it's certainly the most efficient dab experience to date. The Control Tower from Highly Educated.
After 36 years of practicing law, Mr. Armada Law Corp is now coming in, turning a new leaf. Y'all know who it is. Everybody's favorite foul-mouthed uncle. I can't even push my button here. Dale Schafer.
Hey, good morning, everybody. And for you on the East Coast, good afternoon. My story today comes out of Law 360. The headline is Cannabis Company Consultant Wants Out of New Fraud Suit. Now, it piqued my interest because of the SEC and consultants. And we'll chat about that in a second. This case is postured in what we call discovery, and they've done a bunch of discovery, and this guy he's filing a motion for summary judgment to have the court let him out of this case because there's no triable issue of material fact about him being responsible for the misrepresentations that are at the heart of the SEC suit. The SEC sued a company called Profile Solutions, their CEO, Dan Oran, and a guy named Leonard Tucker, who's the consultant here. Now, it seems that back in 2018, 2019, this guy Tucker was working as a consultant for Profile, and he was putting together statements to be put out publicly about this company, and they were trying to raise money. And it seems that some of these statements were very loosely tethered to the truth. And I try to warn clients that if you're making public statements trying to raise money, at some point the SEC is going to come knocking at your door, make sure that what you said in these statements is true. And that seems to be what happened here. Now, one of the highlights of this is that this consultant, I don't know if they knew this or not, but he's a felon. He's got a previous 2-year prison stint for fraud in the SEC. So this guy's carrying some baggage with him. And so besides sort of the lesson here about pleadings, which gets boring, and Gretchen rolls her eyes at me a lot, the SEC and consultants are two issues that I can't warn my clients enough about. The SEC will come and kick your ass, and it can happen years down the road. This complaint was filed, I think, in 2022 over statements made in 2018 and 2019. Now, this consultant story is that, listen, I'm not an officer or director. I just wrote some of this shit. It went to the attorneys for approval. The CEO ultimately approved it. And his story is that I shouldn't be responsible. There's no triable issue material fact that I was an officer or director. The SEC is saying he's a de facto officer or director. This is more in the weeds than we need to deal with. But the lesson here is that if you're making public statements and either you make a statement that is affirmatively untrue, or you leave enough stuff out of your statement to make it untrue, you're going to get spanked at some point. The SEC can and will fine you, and they can fine your company, and it looks like that's what's going on here. Now, the other side of this is with consultants. All of my clients use consultants. To a certain extent, attorneys are consultants. Manndie, you know about consultants. You work as a consultant. I use metric consultants, all sorts of consultants. But if you hire one that's been sent to prison for doing what you're hiring them to do, you should be real damn careful about doing some due diligence about these people to find out, well, what are you going to be doing? And we isolate you so you don't get us in trouble. You have E&O insurance. That's one that people find out they've hired somebody that blows a lot of smoke up their ass about how much they know to do, and they don't know anything. And then it turns out they cost you hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, and they got no insurance. So the lesson for this is be careful what you say publicly to try and bolster your company, okay? And this consultant is also saying that all this is true. Well, they made representations about Swaziland, and the king of Swaziland was going to give him a license to go grow marijuana there without telling on the representation that marijuana is illegal in Swaziland. Oh, minor mistake, okay? They also represented they had given distribution rights in South America to a company that didn't have the right to distribute in several of these countries without telling them that they don't have a right to, I think it was Argentina and Mexico, they couldn't distribute there. They were raising money on these statements, and there were holes in the statements that were just, don't seem to be true. Okay, so we'll stand by to see what the other side has, what the SEC's response is here. But be careful of what you say publicly, and man, do some due diligence on consultants, because everyone claims they're a consultant, and you should not be faking it till you make it as a consultant in this industry. That's out to you. What do you have to say?
Dale, you said it was called B&O insurance?
E&O, errors and omission.
Oh,
malpractice
E&O.
insurance.
Errors and what?
Omissions.
Omissions. Okay. E&O insurance. I know a lot of people out there writing that down right now.
Please do, because that should be something that's part of an independent consulting contract, that you better have insurance and have it in writing.
There is one exception to the rule on consultants having criminal records. If your consultant has a manufacturing cultivation offense and you're hiring him to consult on manufacturing or cultivation, I'd be like, yeah, check it off.
Yeah.
I would stay away from the fraud consultants, even if they didn't do it. Like, it just looks bad having somebody that was convicted of fraud messing with your company. Listen, sometimes that mud wipes off on you. You can't, even if you're running a tight ship.
Well, you can't separate it out from this. As I read through this, it's clear that they targeted this guy because they want to make him out as a recidivist. He's involved in fraud again, and I'm sure that would get him spanked. If he did 2 years before, he's going to do a lot more now if they convict him of this stuff.
What state would he actually do his time in, Dale?
Well, this comes out of Florida.
Okay.
Profile's a Florida company, and it's filed there. The SEC is different than the Department of Justice bringing a fraud complaint against you. The SEC, these are basically civil actions for damages. You can be fined, things like that, but the federal government could also file fraud charges against you and go after you that way.
Man, does not sound good for this guy. And this guy's trying to say, hey, you guys, I shouldn't even be in this lawsuit in the first place because I'm just a consultant. That's his only response back.
Well, and then there's a conspiracy. Yeah. See, that the problem is if you're wrapped up in conspiracy, even if you write the underlying false statement, say I gave it to the attorneys to review, you still wrote the goddamn statement that was false. Okay?
That's like, Jason, it's just like Rudy Giuliani pretending to know nothing about Georgia because some other people told him to say that shit. But he's the idiot out there saying all this crap about these women.
Oh, boy.
See, you understand that. There you go. I know you needed an example you'd get.
You can see the pucker on his face, right?
There's so many connections. So many connections here.
Oh boy, you guys are funny. You guys are real.
Funny. So I mean, when it comes to this, I mean, everybody has to watch what they say, especially in situations like this when you're giving people, when your business is to give people advice. I couldn't agree with you more, Dale. You gotta know who you're working with, especially if somebody calls themselves a consultant. Just do your due diligence. We all know many people, won't name any names, that go around the country, especially looking for emerging markets, and they tell people a bunch of shit, and it just ends up not being true. So if you're looking to get started, man, just do your research. And if that person is from a quote unquote established state and they're no longer operating there, that should be a red flag already.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Well, we're gonna keep this train moving. We're gonna roll right on into Manndie Tingler. She is a mom. She is an edibles judge for the Emerald Cup, as well as a cannabis executive who loves to show how motherhood and an executive lifestyle all roll hand in hand. That's right. It's none other than the Miss Manndie Tingler.
Good morning, everybody. I have a very exciting yet all too brief article to share with you today. Headline reads, Young people at risk of psychosis surprisingly improve while using marijuana use, study finds. New study of teens and young adults at risk of developing psychotic disorders found that regular marijuana use over a 2-year period did not trigger early onset of symptoms, contrary to the claims of prohibitionists who argue that cannabis causes mental illness. In fact, it was associated with modest improvements in cognitive functioning and reduced use of other medications. A team of researchers at Zucker Hillside Hospital, Stanford University School of Medicine, University of Michigan, and University of California at Davis carried out the study, which was published Tuesday in the Journal of Psychiatry Research. Recreational cannabis use has recently gained considerable interest as an environmental risk factor that triggers the onset of psychosis, the study authors wrote. To date, however, Evidence that cannabis is associated with negative outcomes of individuals at clinical high risk for psychosis is inconsistent. To investigate, the team tracked 210 patients between the ages of 12 and 25 who participated in an early detection and intervention for the prevention of psychosis program. Over the course of 2 years, researchers compared the mental health and prescription medication usage of people who regularly consumed marijuana versus those who were non-users. The study found that continuous cannabis use over 2 years of follow-up was not associated with an increased psychosis transition rate, and it did not worsen clinical symptoms, functioning levels, or overall neurocognition. It says that nevertheless, our findings suggest that continually using cannabis may be associated with slightly elevated, albeit non-significant, attenuated positive symptom levels relative to non-users, the researchers said. The youth who continued use cannabis had higher neurocognition and social functioning over time, decreased medication usage, relative to non-users, they reiterated. Surprisingly, clinical symptoms improved over time despite the medication decreases. The study isn't meant to encourage youth marijuana use or support cannabis as a therapeutic tool for those at risk of psychosis, but it does add to the body of scientific literature around marijuana and psychosis, increasing the opponents of legalization, as the opponents of legalization continue to claim that high THC cannabis can trigger schizophrenia. Also, a separate study published by the American Medical Association this past January looked at data from more than 63 million health insurance beneficiaries, found that there's no statistically significant increase in psychosis-related diagnoses in states that have legalized marijuana compared to those that continue to criminalize cannabis. You guys, like I said, it's a short article with a lot of meat on the bone. This is huge news in the medical world, and I'm dying to hear what you think about it. This is Manndie reporting live for High at 9 News. What do you think?
I've had pissing matches with psychiatrists over this here in California, and specifically when they came after Molly. The claim was that if you use cannabis, it causes schizophrenia. And my father-in-law was a psychiatrist, and he was involved with the National Health Service back in the 50s when they wrote the first DSM, first statistical manual, and they took percentages of people with schizoid type of problems. And then if you look at those statistics today, they have not changed. Back in the 50s, the percentage of people smoking weed was very small. Now it's exploded. So statistically, there's no difference in the rate of these schizoid types of psychiatric disorders when people are now in the new cannabis age. So it's hard statistically to do that. And back in the 1890s, the British studied cannabis in India. And they went to insane asylums and noted that there were hash eaters there that were out of their mind. They didn't know what to call it in those days, but it was basically schizophrenic or schizoid disorders. And they didn't make the correlation between it and hash eating, they called it. They just noted they were there. So before we had any propaganda, there wasn't a connection. When you look at statistics from the 50s going forward and the explosion in use of cannabis, we don't see an increase. So basically, it's fucking bullshit. But you still have to deal with it and do these studies and come forward with peer-reviewed studies to demonstrate that if your tendency is to have a schizoid disorder, cannabis does not cause it. It's in you genetically. And that needs to be studied a lot more.
Trauma is usually what triggers psychotic episodes, especially initial ones.
Well, these disorders can run in families, okay? And that's something that needs to be studied. But the Kevin Savett's and their nonsensical, horde of followers want to grab onto this. Somebody who uses high-dose cannabis and ends up with a diagnosis of a schizoid disorder. There's got to be a connection. No, the argument is post hoc, ergo propter hoc. after this because of this bullshit. It's not a cause, it's a correlation. And these studies help to give ammunition, go fight to keep this from being brought into the mainstream media with any credibility.
Universities
I
here,
was just
I
thinking,
think, carry a lot of weight in the medical community, and they're seen as, major research universities that have been prestigious and recognized for everything from neurosurgery down to, the most innovative veterinary care and cancer treatment. So I think if anybody's going to be credible here, you should probably start listening to these folks.
we need to get more studies out, period. Because I know there's a lot of conflicting stuff out there, left and right. But the more that we get on one side rather than the other, the more definitive result we can actually present to the public. So,
But if people are
Let
always
everybody smoke weed.
changing and weed is always changing, are we ever going to get to a definitive result, Rico?
People aren't
Chaos is
changing.
allowed.
What? Wait. Homo sapiens have been the same for 200,000 years. This weed's been
What do you
around
call
for
me?
a long time. So we ain't changing. This is horse shit they're trying to attribute to cannabis, and it needs to be separated from cannabis use and psychiatric disorders. I'm not saying there's no causative factors in there at all, but man, trying to connect one to the other like they've been doing is nonsense.
I agree with you, Dale. It's a whole bunch of propaganda that they
Correlation,
love spewing.
causation.
Exactly right. You ready, Rico?
You ain't down with the propaganda, Jason?
No, not this kind of propaganda. No, I'm not buying none of this BS.
Yeah, it's a bunch of BS, man. But anyways, let's keep it rocking here. Up next, we have the man, the myth, the legend himself. And you know what? He's not only an advocate, he's not only an OG, he's not only one of the dopest dads in the game, but he is our Wednesday closer. Coming out to the stage to bring us home, it's my man, Luke Scarmazzo.
Yes.
Applause or
Good
something?
morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Mariano Rivera coming in to close for us. Today's story comes to you from the Inquirer, and it says New Jersey's weed industry is in a doom loop, traders say. The New Jersey Trade Association issued a report placing blame for the state's slow growth in weed on the New Jersey Cannabis Regulatory Commission. The New Jersey Cannabis Trade Association, which represents the majority of cultivators and dispensaries in New Jersey, issued a report Tuesday placing blame on the state's slow-growing marijuana industry on the New Jersey Cannabis Regulatory Commission, the agency that establishes and enforces regulations governing legal marijuana. The CRC, the report said, is hindering the market's potential due to a protracted licensing process. We're advocating starting with the removal of the bureaucracy, said Todd Johnson, the group's executive director. We are making it difficult right now at the point of entry for no reason. New Jersey could be losing as much as $1.8 million in potential tax revenue per location as a result of the delayed retail store openings, the report concludes. In addition, the NJCTA points out the proliferation of unregulated hemp-derived cannabinoids and state minimal enforcement against illicit operators as reasons for the slow industry growth. The CRC has received 2,177 applications. Sorry about that. Lost my spot. Applications about what we are expecting timelines to be, Brown said. We understand that business owners have to make decisions, and we try to be upfront with the expectations so that people can plan accordingly. Typically, licenses are approved within 3 to 6 months, Brown said. By law, the CRC is supposed to approve conditional license applications within 30 days, the annual license application within 90 days. But the CRC is able to extend that deadline, often due to the sheer number of applicants. And it goes on to talk about these difficult circumstances and the long waits that are hindering the progress of these application processes. A lot of them are social equity applicants. And what we have going on there, I think we're having confluence of a few factors going on. You're starting to see a lot of people in New Jersey look up to New York and say, hey, why am I waiting through these long ass processes, paying all this money when I can just open my shop and start grinding, this product? I don't think that's the smart way to go, but it's the way that people go when they need to make money. And then you're starting to see these long application processes that make it to where people to continue to pay these leases and pay all the bills before they can even make $1. When you're a social equity applicant or somebody that this is your own sole livelihood that you're trying to put everything into, it becomes impossible to keep a lease and a building and a business ready to launch for 2 years while you wait for these people to give you a license. So, this is Luke Scarmazzo, High at 9 News on Wednesday. Love to hear what my correspondents have to think about this.
I don't know of an industry across the state that's not circling the drain right now. For all the factors they're talking about right there. I've got clients who are waiting 2 to 3 years right now just to get the application process through. And as you said, Luke, they're paying mortgages, leases, they got employees, there's all sorts of things going on, the consultants, attorneys. And there doesn't seem to be an exit strategy to come out with a license with any alacrity. And these are not real estate developments. That's what I have to deal with. You got to do CEQA and all these other nonsensical things, like you're building a high rise or you're building a 500 unit housing development. Guy wants to grow 10,000 square foot of weed. I mean, for God's sakes, why do they have to make this so difficult?
And New Jersey is supposed to be such a strong market, and it's supposed to be like what everything that New York should have been. And people are like actually making money in New Jersey. But now they're saying that it's about to go and be all doom and gloom.
Do you think like the whole doom spiral thing is a little premature? Like they've only had like a retail legalization for like less than a year.
Less than a year. I definitely think it's a little early to say it's doomed and all that. I would say that they're starting to see some of the bureaucratic slowdowns that all the states end up having in these situations. Yeah. I don't think they realize like the processing and the need for resources and personnel to be able to tackle these issues, especially when the state initially launches. Like they think, oh, we'll just throw a few people into this cannabis department and they'll process applications and stuff for us. Listen, it's a tremendous amount of work. The people want cannabis in these states. You're going to see people come out of the woodwork, not to mention the MSOs, flood these application processes. And then it goes from them taking 90 days to taking 2 years.
They're trying to do things different than everybody else. But this is America. Nothing works good. Nothing works as it should, right?
What is New Jersey doing that's innovative here, Rico?
What is New Jersey doing?
Yeah, they're not doing anything innovative.
What do you mean they're not doing anything new?
What?
I said they took a slower approach than everybody, and they didn't front run a bunch of shit like.
Well, they definitely didn't do. They definitely did that, but they do get in Twitter wars with the state of New York though, so that's always entertaining when we get to see that. But
the rollout for Jersey was definitely a lot slower. They built it up. They had meetings and talks. The CRC established and did all that stuff. So I think in that sense, like they didn't rush in like a fool. But I think
it sounds like they're still not rushing.
Well, I'll tell you one other big difference that New Jersey did that New York different.
They're Ukrainian.
What is what Chemo says? Chemo says it's a high price of the barrier to entry because this is economic gatekeeping. They want to keep the poor people poor and the rich people rich. They don't want too many people sitting at their table. And that's basically what New Jersey did with their high barriers to entry in order to even open out there. So that's how. Well, go ahead, Gretchen.
I got a question for all of you retailers and licensed folks out there. In states where I guess this was a flawless process. How long did it take y'all to get licenses? I mean, Jason, you've been around forever, so it probably took 5 seconds because they had no standards. Clearly, since you're the
I created a lot of the licensing programs and whatnot.
No, I'm just wondering because we didn't hear these issues in Colorado and that kind of thing, or Oregon. You had 5 cents, they'd give you a license. I mean, So I don't understand why it's so fucking hard now.
Well, because a lot of it is all based on these rubrics of these application processes in order to obtain a license instead of people that were already open obtaining a license, because a lot of these places didn't have like any type of open storefronts in their jurisdictions prior to when
So
they
you're
just went
saying
legal.
like California and all those folks out west just kind of got grandfathered in?
Yeah.
Like you had a store and they
Well,
gave you
That's
Jersey-
how a lot
Yeah.
of it did.
New
Yeah.
Jersey did have medical, and they had medical stores there. The thing with New Jersey that kind of slowed the process down too is they had you had to get licensed and certified through the state, and then it had to go down to the local municipality, to see if they were allowing dispensaries, and then what their local regulations were, and all the hoops you had to jump through for that. So there is.
So
Let
the
me
state would
actually,
say
this is a
yes
good point,
before the
Gretchen.
municipality?
Excuse me.
So you're saying in New Jersey,
Yeah, in
the
New
state
Jersey.
says yes
Yes.
before the municipality?
Yeah, the
Yes,
hardest
you
part
get,
is
you get
getting the
licensed
local
through
approval.
the state, and then you have to go down to the local level after
Yes.
that,
Well, that's
and even
just
see if you
dumb.
can open there.
Yeah,
it's really
very
a weird
stupid.
process.
Yeah, it's very.
But there is a lady that can help you. She's brilliant. Her name is Shirali Patel. If you need any kind of like help with like setting up, she's a monster out there in New Jersey. So I just wanted to give her a shout out. She has a company called Blaze Responsibly. They do expungement clinics. They help people with social equity licenses go through the process and learn it. Shirali Patel. If you can look her up, if you need help in Jersey, that's who you hit up.
Interesting.
Is she a consultant?
She is a
Oh,
lawyer.
I see
actually.
what you did there, Rico. I see what you
But
did
she-
there.
That's how you end
she might be open to consulting. I don't know.
That's why you call him the closer
Uh-huh.
right there.
There we go.
With a felony. Oh, be careful.
Lincoln lawyer. All right, y'all. Much love to everybody. And now I lose all my shit again. But thank you all for joining us for yet another round of High 9 News. Catch us live weekdays, 9 a.m. Pacific, high noon on the East Coast. Big shout out to our live audience members and online supporters tuning in and giving us feedback on the daily headlines of chaos known as the cannabis industry in development. To our industry correspondent team tuning in from all over, bringing us much needed variety for your perspectives and adding vetted opinions to the conversation as well. To our production team, Cloud Media Partners, House of Fuego, and of course, the lovely Jaja Simone holding things down on all the other platforms. Apologize for the audio problems. We're going to try to get that figured out in Discord here after the show. But also Cannabis Sativa L, the sacred reason we show up to do these stories every damn day. Thank you. It has been August 23rd, 2023. The show is over. It's double Jordan today. Jason, I like that. Show's over. You've been blessed with the top industry headlines. Hope it's enough for you to put in your pipe and smoke it. Manndie Tingler, what you got for us today? You gonna take us out?
Yeah, it's a Wednesday, and so you know what that means. It's Women in Weed Wednesday, so you need to visit the website for the womenscannaawards.com and make sure that all of your friends who own women-owned brands in California are registered for the competition. That's it. Have a good one.
Yeah.